So, how is spring coming along in Minnesota, Derek?
Well, it was almost summer-like for a while, and now it's
Almost.
fall-like. So it's a classic Minnesota spring where if you don't like the weather, wait a day.
Well, and Mike, you're the other end of the spectrum in Northern California. Aren't you guys hitting 100 degrees this week?
Yeah, I'll be on first 100-degree day on Saturday. So
That's crazy.
thankfully we got the my son's end of the season baseball party the with the at a house with a pool. So we got that going for us. So definitely be in use.
Yeah, we've had in the Pacific Northwest, we've had one 80-degree day so far this year, I think. And so ours is just getting started. We got a whole bunch this week. Time of year. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be in this area. It's spring and summer's coming. Welcome everybody to our conversation about the weather. For those of you who are jumping in, and hopefully it's good wherever you are. We're letting everybody load up right now. We're getting started here in the next few seconds. We'll get launched. We're glad you're here. Um, as we go, I'll kind of just do a little bit of housekeeping right now. We want this to be as interactive as possible. And so we're going to throw some polls your way to get some feedback as we go. We're going to ask that you throw your questions our way. If you can do that mostly in the Q&A, that would be great. It helps us organize the questions and answer some of them with chat. Some of them we can answer live. In the chat, we're going to ask you for some things, but any questions you throw at us, try to use the Q&A. It helps us keep them organized and make sure we get to them all. The chat scrolls too fast, and before we know it, the question you asked us is somewhere, feed up on the scroll. And so that'll keep us from having to do that. I'm going to share my screen here as we get launched. And welcome to our call today. My name is Matt Morris. I'm the CEO of EncorEstate Plans, and we are talking estate planning procrastination. We love to have this conversation about how to end the procrastination around estate planning, and we'd love to frame it around other people. But the reality is all of us struggle with procrastination around estate planning and these conversations. And so today we have two experts that are awesome in this field and have tons of experience, way more than me, that I'm going to shape us to hear from as we go. And so we'll get started here. Kind of the out of the gate, we talked about the question, the using the Q&A for any of your questions, but we're going to be asking you for some other feedback in chat as we go. Want to just kind of set up the conversation initially here, a minute or two, 90 seconds on Encore, and so the role of the advisor in estate planning. And then we're going to throw it over to, what my marketing guy here put in as a estate planner and a financial behavioral specialist walk into a bar or webinar, I think is what he did here. So we walk into a bar. We don't have the drinks. Mike hasn't cracked open the Coors Light yet today, but we're going to do it webinar style. And then we'll finish up here with a couple of announcements, things we have that'll wrap up and share with you, and some goodies we want to give to you at the end. One of those, I'll just mention it. Encore's launching a new concierge launch that actually makes it a lot easier for these first few estate planning conversations we're helping advisors have around getting documents done. So we'll give you details on that as we finish up. But want to introduce the more entertaining crew than myself. We have Derek Hagen with us today. Derek is a financial behavioral specialist, director of education and communication at Money Quotient. He's been featured in the Wall Street Journal, Business Insider, Yahoo Finance, U.S. News and World Report, and in his backyard, the Minneapolis Star Tribune. Holds a whole bunch of designations. He's got he's a CFP certified financial therapist, which is what I love hearing on this estate planning topic. That skill set and background you have, Derek. Certified financial behavioral specialist, and also a CFA. Go mix those two things together. You're unique. Are there many? I'll throw it to you, Derek. But are there many CFAs and CFTs out there?
Just me.
Just you. You're
Just
the only
one.
one.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's a rarefied place. So complete that, complete a little bit what you do, Derek, what your role, your past as an acting advisor, what you do today, to let everybody know a little bit more about your background.
Sure. Yeah. So I came from the world of KITSIS, spreadsheets and calculators style stuff at the CFA. And somewhere along the lines, I met a guy named Ted Klontz who taught me about the interior side of money, we'll call it, or your relationship with money. And that sent me down a path to learn about financial therapy. And I eventually became a financial therapist. And about a little less than a year ago, I joined Money Quotient. So now I'm involved with training financial advisors on what you might have heard of as the human side of money or financial life planning. Basically, we're helping advisors implement a system that helps clients understand what kind of life they want and then how to make the money fit that, how to help create a financial plan in service of what the client actually wants,
That's
not what they
awesome.
think they're supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly. Which that takes a little bit of causing people to dig a little bit more than just
Right.
the what comes off the top of our heads. And so that's awesome. And so that background is going to be really valuable in this conversation today on the behavioral side of our procrastination and talking about estate planning. Mike Bennett is the managing director at Encore Estate Plans. He runs all the operations behind the scenes at Encore. I'll let Mike share his background on what he's recovering from as he jumps here. But Mike, you've worked with probably over 5,000 families in your career, helping them get their estate planning docs in place, get through that procrastination hurdle.
Yeah, that was just when I was a practicing estate planning attorney, about that many. But through Encore, it's, as you know, is a
Yeah,
lot more than that.
yeah,
But it's not. But directly having worked with over 5,000 families and helping them accomplish their estate planning. Yeah, I graduated from law school a little over 20 years ago and have never done anything except estate planning. So it's I was very fortunate to find something I loved at an early age and just roll with it. So. Um,
unlike me, I'm still
yeah,
trying to figure out
it's
what I want to do
amazing
when I
to
grow up.
help someone through this very, very small part of the process.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, Mike, I love your stories on how you became an estate planning nerd as a young man. And you knew what you wanted to do all your life, and you've been doing it. And you're changing the game and changing how it's done with what you're doing now. And so cool. I want to kick it off with a couple of fascinating insights. This was we'll share up some stats since we'll start with that part of Derek, your background as a CFA. We'll start with some numbers. This referencing this Merrill Lynch client survey that from a couple of years ago, they polled a bunch of Merrill clients and asked a whole bunch of estate planning related questions. One of the questions is, what are words how would you describe somebody who passes away from this life without an estate plan? 88% of people in this survey chose words like irresponsible, inconsiderate, and ignorant to describe people who passed away without an estate plan. Then, when they asked that same cohort, how many of you actually have an estate plan? It was 58% of those said, I don't actually have an estate plan, but it's irresponsible, inconsiderate, and ignorant not to have one. And so, or at least to pass away without one. I guess in that case, we could nuance that a little bit with, I haven't died yet, so I'm not yet irresponsible. Or inconsiderate or ignorant, but that's how we view this. Yet, what is this cognitive dissonance that's going on here in us that says, I know it's important, I want to do it, I want it done, I want that peace of mind on the other side, but I'm not taking action. And so this is ingrained in the DNA at Encore. This is the primary goal we're trying to help solve. If I know today we have a bunch of Encore users on this call, most of you, but so if you aren't familiar, it's kind of this life cycle. And it's just like a financial planning life cycle, is there's always things happening that affect our lives. And we'll talk about life events today as a reason to end the procrastination. But as you know, if you're an Encore user, we're helping people review their existing documents that may have gotten done years ago. You can upload documents. We give visual estate plan summaries that make it easy to understand decisions they made in the past. We're obviously helping you, the advisor, for a lot of your straightforward clients, step into this gap and say, we can take you through the Encore process and help you get new documents, the new power of attorney, healthcare directives, all the trust or a will-based estate plan, restate the existing ones. Powers only packages, really important as an opportunity with advisors to deal with clients' children, maybe when they're off to college. I know it was important. My wife and I felt good when my daughter turned 18. We could still talk to her doctor if we needed to, with the HIPAA assignment as part of a powers only package that we had, financial power of attorney for my daughter in college. Funding, we can talk procrastination on that. How many people actually get an estate plan done and then they never actually go and fund it? And so Encore helps with deed filing. We can help standalone deed filing, or we can help with funding a new trust that's created, business assignments, making sure the funding is done. And this is where we're in partner with advisors on the beneficiary designations, getting all those things right. And then there's always future amendments with life changes. How do we make it easy for people to keep their estate plans up to date? Is a huge opportunity for advisors to step into this gap. This is what we're trying to help you to do. So that's kind of our world within that. But let's start here. Let's just get real for a moment. And Victor's going to put up a poll question. One of the things, and I'm going to throw this over to you, Derek, to start our conversation, is how many of you as advisors right now have a current and up-to-date estate plan? Because I think if we are procrastinating ourselves on getting this done, it may be kind of hard to get other people off the procrastination. Maybe we sympathize a little bit too much, that I'm too overwhelmed to do my own, to think about my own incapacitation or death. And so I really understand when the client is procrastinating versus I've got the peace of mind, mine's all done, it's wrapped up, and I want to give that to you. And so answer this poll question for us. Tell us, we'll check here in a second on where you all stand as having current up-to-date plans. And Derek, speak to that. If we are procrastinating ourselves, are we less able to help other people through their own procrastination?
Possibly. I think there's a little, okay, look at that, about 50-50. Interesting.
Yeah. Everybody's seeing the results we got so far. It's 51,
Yeah.
50, almost 50-50.
So that's, I think that can go a couple of ways. There's one, is it the cobbler's kids go and shoot or whatever. If this is what I do all day long, I think there's a part of you that might think, I don't want to do this again. I don't want to keep doing this myself. So there's one element of maybe I'm just burned out from having these kind of conversations, which is interesting because that's saying, I know I need to do this. I know it's irresponsible and whatever those other words were. And I tell all my clients as such. I'm not doing it myself. I think there's another route though that says potentially, if I don't want to do it myself, it's kind of interesting to ask why. Let's dig underneath the hood there and say, what is it keeping me from doing it? Is it what I said earlier, where I'm burned out about having these conversations? Am I hesitant to think about my own death or what happens to me when I'm incapacitated? Do I not want to think about what's going to happen to my stuff and the fights that's going to happen over the family cottage or whatever? That's interesting because we talk a lot of Money Quotient about your mood, your doubt, your enthusiasm is contagious. So if you are hesitant about thinking about these kinds of things, it's possible that subconsciously you're portraying that to your clients too. So I think, I don't have the data here, but I would be curious to see, of these 50%, who has the higher procrastination rate. It would be interesting to see if the advisors who are procrastinating have more clients who procrastinate. Again, I don't have any data for that. That would just be interesting to see. But it's contagious. If I'm enthusiastic about something, clients are going to see that. If I'm tiptoeing around something, clients are going to see that too.
Ooh, and Mike, you speak to this but Matt on the chat just threw a great comment in that by doing it, he's now able to speak to his clients about, and you do this all the time, Mike. You now say, hey, here's how my family thought about that, and here's how we did this. And so that's a great point. Thanks for throwing that in the chat as an example of, to be able to talk to your clients is giving them your story. Because Mike, you tell your estate plan story all the time.
Yeah. Some of the best marketing I ever did when I was a practicing estate planning attorney was I would do free or very discounted estate plans for financial advisors, because that way they could walk to their clients and say, here's my binder. This is how I got my own done. and it immediately takes the temperature down in the room. And so we've done the same thing at Encore. The 50-50 number is, I mean, I don't know what I expected there, but like the deck was stacked a little bit though, because I think we did, just based on who I see in the webinar, I think we've done about 10 of the people's estate plans in
Good.
here at Encore. So a little bit of a stacked deck there, but yeah, it's amazing how when you can go to your clients and say, this is how I handled it, it just makes the conversation that much easier.
Yeah, and Mike, I mean, give examples like when you've been with clients and they're thinking through a question too, and they're like, well, how should I think about this? You always you can run it down in a second of here's how we did it, and we did it for this reasons. Maybe examples when you have somebody who's got anything similar to your situation.
Yeah, so like I use my own estate plan as an example, just because it's what was perfect for me, not because my wife and I, how we decided things. It doesn't mean it's gonna be perfect for a client. But in letting them know how I thought something through, and this goes for you advisors, how you can say this to them as well. They're not going to think it through exactly the same way, but they'll use your thinking to make it perfect for them. For example, like my kids are 15 and 13. We have everything going to our kids in equal shares after a charitable gift, and but it's 1/3 at 25, 1/3 at 30, 1/3 at 35. I sometimes joke that, yeah, when they're, a few more years older and they've spinning their wheels as full-blown teenagers, I'll probably change those ages to 55, 65 and never, when they control things. I mean, it's, and then ideally when they're older, they'll be our backup trustees. There's, so many different ways to go about these questions.
Yeah, that's a great one. Mike, tee us off here, and then I'll come over to you, Derek, on this question of kind of estate planning just is at the starting point. Just the words estate planning just feel overwhelming. It's like, okay, this is a big deal. I got to get this right. And speak to how can advisors make the complex, what feels complex and overwhelming, just simple to start. Mike, why don't you answer that one first, kind of on ways
I don't
you
know
got
why you're
good at
asking
saying,
me.
well, because I know I have a sense for your answer and I've heard it, and so I
Well,
want to hear it, and then I'm going to let Derek expand on it too.
with my background, being a former practicing attorney, I mean, most attorneys went the complete opposite direction, making the
Totally.
simple complex.
Yep.
But no, but that's I would try to break it down a little bit because it can be an overwhelming topic if you let it. Number one, I try to boil estate planning down to one word, and that word is control. That's something that we have tried to and we try to make it as knowing that every situation is complex. In 20 years of doing this, I've never met a normal family, and yours won't be the first, is something that I've said a lot of different times to people. But it's trying to break that down into basically 5 major questions. Who's getting it, how are they getting it, financial decisions, healthcare decisions, and guardian and minor kids. So yeah, trying to keep it as simple as possible and just not as overwhelming.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why you always are so big on that introduction to estate planning kind of piece that we have that is just, hey, here's all we're doing. We're making decisions. Derek, can you speak to that a little bit from a helping people calm their inner overwhelm as we even say those words?
Yeah, similar to what I was thinking about before is how you approach it is going to be contagious. So if I say something, and I'm going to push this to the extremes, I'm not suggesting anybody does this, but if you say something like, well, it's about that time, we have to talk about that estate planning stuff now. So hope you're ready for it. Let's start to, that's going to signal one thing. If you say, all right, cool, now let's start talking about what your legacy is going to look like. I'm excited to see what you come up with. That's going to hit people a little bit differently too. So if anybody who knows me, knows that I like to draw silly little pictures. And I think if you can break complex ideas down into an image of some kind, that helps. It can help shatter some complexity, even if you're just writing out the words. So like Mike's, who's getting it? How are they getting it? You could just write, here's a stick figure of you in the middle, and you draw a little line out to who's getting it. Then you draw another line from there out to how are they getting it? How much are they getting? Or whatever. That can help shed a little bit of that complexity. And then I also like the idea of taking smaller steps or breaking things down into smaller steps. We don't have to do this all right now. And I think I've chatted with Matt before about something similar to this. We can just let's just talk, let's just have a conversation. What do you want to have happen? And it just make it very conversational, and it doesn't feel so formal that way. And as a client or as a consumer, I'm going to be more likely to engage in a conversation when it feels lighthearted than if it's you're buttoned up in a suit and getting very strict and formal with me. Whoa, this seems too important. Too important. It is important, obviously, but if it can be delivered in a way that makes it feel too, I don't know what the word would be, too scary.
Yeah. So there we go. Scary. Let's move that into one area here that I think can be fun to talk about is how do we lighten the mood in an appropriate way with death jokes. Let's talk death jokes.
Jeez.
I know we have a few people on the call. I see Daniel on the call. Maybe he's got a few, but so I'd love it if you guys could go into the chat and share how do we lighten, maybe with a little bit of humor, the tense moments when we're thinking about what's the world going to be like when I'm no longer in it. And so, Mike, I know you have just ways you phrase things, places that you're in the conversation that maybe could otherwise feel like I start to clench, and that you could drop a little bit of an example or an anecdote. One I heard recently was, what's the difference between in-laws and outlaws? You guys know? Outlaws are wanted, and so that's why you need to do estate planning. And so, but Mike, I'll throw it over your way. Is there anything there that are things you can throw out to lighten the mood?
So humor is not going to be for everybody on this topic. I mean, I definitely go that direction if the opportunity presents itself. I mean, when I'm speaking with a client, I mean, if they're a little more demure, and I mean, I'm going to be, probably a little bit less boisterous. I'll try to slowly lighten the mood a little bit if I can. But some people, they might have just been coming off a death, for instance, in their family. And so if I'm dealing with that type of situation, that's going to be different than if I'm, speaking with friends that like, hey, look, we know that the main purpose of doing this is we just want guardians for our minor kids. But one that always, it seems to be a good default is when I'm talking about healthcare directives with someone. And I ask them, well, who do you want to be your healthcare directive agent? And the personal example I use is a lot of times I'll say, well, you need someone who can make a difficult emotional decision in what is obviously a difficult and emotional time, but will do what you want. And my personal example is I don't have my mother listed because I'm a pull the plug type guy. And I know that she'd never do it. So she's not listed. On the flip side of that coin, I don't have my father-in-law listed either because he'd put a pillow over my head if I gave him that opportunity. Can't have that either. But that's a little bit much for some people. And my father-in-law loves it that I use that example, and he consistently threatens me with it at holidays. But yeah, that's just one example, and it's stupid. But it's foolish, but it gets the point across too, because when someone thinks of that, of who they're going to name there, they're going to immediately think of, okay, well, not my mother because she's too nice, but definitely not my father-in-law either.
Yeah, I think it's actually really instructive in a way that's lighter. Derek, how do you think about this in a way that, obviously, like everybody, like any good comedian, you read the room. It's kind of important.
Exactly. Yeah.
But in the ways that we can help with this, level of maybe overwhelm.
Reading the room is important, and you can always try things too. If you're going to get feedback. So when you offer the start of a joke, or if you offer something in a lighthearted way, and you're reading cues, you're reading how they're reacting, and you're reading their face, and so you can back off and switch directions. That's okay. Or if they seem to be into it, you can lean into it and tell a joke. I'm more of a dark humor guy, so this one's not one that I would use with very many people. But it does speak to maybe the importance of putting your wishes down. It's a guy named Tim. Tim's in a family business, right? And his dad and he run this business, but Tim's not doing so well. He lives at home with dad, doesn't really know what the business is worth, how much his dad's worth. And then the dad gets sick and tells him, Tim, in a couple of years when I'm gone, you're going to get all of this. And he says, oh, this is great. I have something to do now. I have like value, I have worth, I have something to offer potential mates. So he goes out to parties, he goes out to bars, he meets a gorgeous woman, and he says, look, I know I'm not much to look at now, but in a couple of years, when my dad passes away, I'm going to get $20 million. And she's impressed. She says, that's great. Can I have your card? She takes his card, and 3 days later becomes his stepmom. So it's a dark joke, but it's, if the dad didn't want this to go to anybody else or did want it to go to his son, you have to think through all the different iterations. I mean, I'm speaking to people who know this a hell of a lot more than I do, but what happens if you leave it to your son and daughter-in-law, and then your son dies and everything goes to the daughter-in-law? Is this what you want? Or maybe you need a trust for that, but kind of thinking through, or maybe you don't care. Maybe you say it's out of my hands at that point. But these are the kinds of conversations that jokes can get your foot in the door to, because a joke, it creates connection. It makes you memorable. It kind of helps people see that this is just a conversation. This isn't just about doing this heavy work of talking about death and dying and what happens to my stuff. It's having a conversation to learn what you want so that we can make sure, or get as close as possible to making sure what you want to have happen happens.
Yeah, that's great. Good stuff. And I'm so glad that you're not Daniel Kopp's client, Derek, because he has the Star Wars reference for us here, joke. And if you guys don't know Derek, throw as many Star Wars references as you can at Derek, because he's never seen Star Wars. He's the only person I know that has never seen a Star Wars movie. And so Daniel threw out estate planning is like being a Jedi. If you don't train your Padawans and leave a holocron of instructions, the Sith probate court takes over your legacy. And so I won't ask you, Derek, to explain that joke.
Yeah, I have no idea what that means, but that must be the one with the wizard boy, right? Is that the right movie?
You haven't seen those either, have you?
No.
Now, I was going to ask you, you must not have young boys as children.
Nope.
Because I don't know, not having lightsabers as a little boy, it's like, hey, come on, that's not fair. Such good stuff. And so yeah, thanks for sharing in the chat some of these great examples. Let's talk about this too, kind of that procrastination and leveraging life events. And maybe Derek, you can take this one. And Mike, I'll go deeper with you on. The reality is there's a lot that happens throughout our life that there's an estate planning connection to it. And so that helps us versus out of the blue. Yes, I know I need a plan. I'll get around to it, versus the life events that happen in health and wealth and changes to relationship, those sorts of things. Maybe speak to that, Derek, as the opportunity for advisors to be listening for that. There's an implication here that does a good time to bring up estate planning.
Yeah. So what you're talking about, there's, when we teach advisors about life planning, we call them inquiry categories, but 4 distinct types of conversations that we want advisors to have with people. And one of those is transitions, life transitions. And there's many of them. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, some of them are expected, and then some of them come out of nowhere. So there's kind of like, a quadrant here. So these kinds of things, a lot of times, can I say most of the time? A lot of times, we'll say at least, transitions come with financial implications, and included in that is estate planning implications. And so sometimes it's just something that happens that reminds us, maybe it doesn't actually impact my estate plan necessarily, but it is a reminder that maybe I should look more closely at this. Because maybe I saw this happen to a friend of mine and that it was a mess and now everybody's still fighting, or maybe somebody passed away unexpectedly and, who knows. sometimes something happens and I actually have to change my estate plan because, say, somebody that was listed in my estate documents passes away or became sick or something. So I actually have to. So as an advisor, we can, that's how I would tee it up and just say, we actually have a survey, a life transition survey that we have advisors give to their clients annually. Some advisors do it before every meeting, but at least annually, just as a really quick way to see what are these transitions that you foresee coming, or which ones are you currently experiencing now? Because I want to see this to know if there's any financial implications that we need to proactively plan for. And if I notice those, if I spot those, then then we can have the relevant conversations around what does this mean for your estate plan? What does this mean for what happens? And then how can me and my team as the advisor, how can we go through and make sure that with the new information, we've got everything in place and everything's set according to what you're still hoping for, according to your values.
That's awesome. Mike, why don't you speak to that a little bit, and I'll share up real quick. Oops, wrong one I'm sharing. I'll share up one of our knowledge-based resources. We're just creating and actually throwing up now into our knowledge base, kind of the things to be mindful of, that when these come up, this is a time to go to that client and say, let's talk estate planning. But Mike, you speak to these a little bit from the tactical and practical side.
Sorry, I can't right now. I'm distracted by the terrible jokes that I'm reading on
You're still
the
scrolling the
chat.
chat.
I'm totally not writing them down and trying to remember to use them for later. So that's what's going on. No.
And Marla put a good one in there. I like, cheesy is the whole point. Come on, it's dad jokes. These are
it's
the
terrible.
things that
It's absolutely terrible. No, and so I'm a big fan of, and this is part of making it easier, and goes to Derek's point as well. One of the best things that I think that we can do as advisors in our clients' lives is helping them get ready for those meetings, and let them have some of those conversations in advance. And so if you don't have a pre-existing relationship with the client, or even if you do, letting them know what you're going to be talking about in advance a little bit, so they can have those discussions. It's about who's going to be the guardian for their minor kids. The last thing you want to do is be part of when husband says, oh yeah, well, my sister's going to get the kids, and then wife turns, oh no, she's not. In some ways it could be really good, but in some ways it's pretty darn awkward too. So I say it can be good because maybe it'll give you a chance to dig deeper with that client. So I mean, I don't want to say it's all bad, but if they can hash out some of those things in advance, it'll make things a little bit less overwhelming. And then knowing too that when it comes to estate planning is similar to a lot of your components of financial planning. It's perfect for that moment. It's something that if there's a significant change in health or wealth and what you have up here on the screen is a great resource here, that life's going to happen. And the people on here, the financial planners on this call, you're in a much better position to help clients keep their estate plans up to date than I ever was. As a practicing estate planning attorney, you're going to be meeting with them far more frequently than I ever would have been. And so this is one of the reasons why I think it's so cool that we're having advisors in the driver's seat of this, just being able to keep these things up to date. So, because life's going to come at you fast, and we got to be ready to make these changes as we need to.
Yeah, and it kind of gives a reason for the conversation too, versus the estate planning. I'm perfectly healthy. I don't have any intention of needing estate planning anytime soon. When that life events happens, that is obviously getting it done the first time, but then this is why making it easy to keep it up to date, to your point, Mike, is super important. Mike, I'll throw out this question to you as well from Nick, because when you were practicing estate planning attorney, you were meeting with people you didn't know you just are meeting for the first time. And so Nick said, I do a substantial amount of prospecting with estate planning, and did an paid ads campaign, didn't have great success, but just advice for talking to people you don't have that trust already built. You had it because you maybe were an attorney, but it's still the relationship trust you didn't have, and you had to start from scratch. How do you break through that?
Yeah, and so I think it's very similar to financial planning. It's similar to when you're meeting with a brand new financial planning client, or they're coming in just to bring over investments or something like that. I mean, you're establishing rapport. I used to charge flat fees. And so that was something that clients liked because they didn't feel like that, oh, well, I'm telling them these personal stories to, so I can charge more. It was more just being vulnerable and opening up things a little bit to say, gosh, like, well, this is my family situation. And opening up that way, it would get the client, generally it's going to get the clients to open up a little bit. So I don't think there's that many differences. Yeah, you're talking about something a little bit different within financial planning, but I do think that it's very similar. So I think it's just like any conversation you're going to have with a brand new client. You're establishing a relationship, establishing rapport. You're making fun of your own kids, or those types of things as you're talking about this stuff, or making fun of your father-in-law, like I have a tendency to do. I mean, those are the things that I think it's a great way just to do that. Yeah.
Throw your family under the bus. Is that the answer to the question? Just get their permission first and say, can I use you as in my professional conversations? Derek, what would be your kind of, rapport building when you're getting into deep stuff and it's maybe a new client? Because estate planning, we are hearing advisors absolutely crushing it with leading with estate planning. Maybe it's that Stephen Covey, begin with the end in mind, but it's also something that as a financial planner, maybe their current advisor hasn't even gone here, and now you're bringing something that they haven't brought yet. I don't know you well. Can you talk to that rapport building when you're going to go to something, start with something that's big or feels big?
Yeah, and this applies to every conversation. And I just say lead with curiosity. I pretend I have a curiosity hat. I haven't made it yet, but eventually I'm going to have a real curiosity hat that I put on. If you can lead with curiosity, you're almost never going to go wrong, and you can do more listening than talking. So invite the client to share with you, what do you know about estate planning? And then let them tell you. And maybe they know a lot, maybe they've never heard of it. I don't know anything about that. Okay, well, what do you know about, have you heard about wills before? So you can start to see where they're at. Where are they? What do they know? What do they not know? You can gauge curiosity. How curious are they to learn more about this? And then you can start to fill in the blanks. This is a little more kind of getting into the advice side, but you can elicit permission. Is it okay if I share with you a little bit about how I help clients with estate plans or something like that? So you're getting them to open the door for you to offer information about what you're doing, estate planning in this case, and then always tie a bow on that with, did that make sense? Or is there anything more I can answer for you? Or what else would you like to know? So you're keeping them, you're kind of inviting them to lead the conversation. You're just teeing them up so that they can keep talking, and you're filling in the blanks. You're offering information here and there, but that's like coal in the train engine to keep it moving. You're offering enough just to keep them talking. And now most people haven't really been truly listened to be on the opposite end of a good listener is super rare. And if you can be that person, now you stick out in their mind. You ask them about these things that I didn't even know were something I needed to keep in mind. And so now if I'm in the place where I'm ready for it, you're the person I'm going to come to when I want to know more about it.
Yeah, that's great. Mike, I wanted to actually hear from your take. I didn't get a chance to read. I know you responded with typing, but to Garrett's question of, I run into the issue of the client not wanting to amend anything in anticipation of another big life transition. Is there a recommended schedule for updating it, or getting somebody to say, well, wait, more's going to change, and I might as well just wait until my life settles down perfectly and no change happens anymore. Then I'll do my estate plan.
So Matt, you didn't think we were going to actually get through an entire webinar without me using the term "it depends."
That's always I'm trying to get that out of you.
Yeah, I know. Gosh darn it. It really does depend. I used to have a saying that, like, if you or any beneficiary has a significant change in health or wealth as a generic number or a generic time to do it. 3 to 5 years is another one that I hear, but like it's so hard to have a recommended schedule because life is life. It's gonna throw you for loops for sure. But what I wrote in the chat there is one of the most common ones that's there is either having children or having more children. And that one is so easy to draft around that like you can do that now because it takes into account a future change. That's super easy to deal with. Getting divorced, that's a little bit harder to draft around because that's you're gonna be walking in with maybe both spouses and like, oh, by the way, I'm thinking about getting divorced. Well, that's gonna be a tough one to draft around with your spouse sitting there. But you can always say things like equal shares to the children. And if it's someone who doesn't have kids yet, or they don't want to, jinx it, okay, well, if I have children, this is how my estate will go. If I don't have children, this is how my estate will go. And so, in a lot of cases, it can be easily drafted around. Is really what I'm trying to say. And ultimately, too, if we're talking 2 months for this big life transition versus 2 years, those are totally different equations. And another common one that I hear is like buying a house. Oh, I'm going to buy a house soon, so I don't want to do my trust yet. Okay, well, do the trust now, and then you don't have to pay someone like us to put it into the trust for you. Your title company can do that. Probably a terrible sales pitch, but for us, but like, yeah, it's the right advice or the right thing to do.
Yeah, and this speaks to, I think, one of the biggest problems we're trying to solve with Encore, Mike, and that making it easy to update because what is the traditional experience on, okay, if I want to get this right so I don't have to pay an attorney 4 figures to make a change in a year. And so why not? Traditionally, it's been just wait until I think it's going to be settled for a few years because I don't want to go spend thousands of dollars to go change what I just did. But in an environment where this is software and service based with Encore, it's like, well, get it done. It's $125 to make a change anytime you make a change. And it takes, we had an advisor recently share that it was like 90 seconds. They wanted to change their trustee from their oldest daughter to their middle son because they learned she had substance use problems going on. And it took 90 seconds to redo that. Documents were done. And in the software, documents done 5 business days later, the amendment had the clients had sent out a notary, clients got it signed, and they made a simple change quickly. And so, because the reality is also, to this point, is what's the unforeseen change that's also going to happen that you don't know about in 3 months anyway. And so being on a platform that the advisor's there to spark those updates when they see them and keeping it up to date to your original point. And I'll point out Derek's question, or I'm sorry, Daniel's comments too. Hopefully everybody sees that on these open-ended questions are brilliant. And I know Derek, you and Daniel think alike on how to get people talking. Let's throw it to Jake's question. So does this make it easier for the title company to add to the trust during closing? Talk about that, Mike, and what he's asking about on funding with the property deed on new property purchases.
Well, on something like that, as long as you get them involved early in the process, it shouldn't be a problem. If someone's buying a new property, I mean, you get your trust done, then you have to keep it funded. And so if they purchase a new piece of property, the title company can just put it directly into the trust for them. And so as opposed to having to go to an attorney or come to somebody like us to get something like that done. So yeah, I think it is easier. Sorry, that was an easy one. That was
Yeah,
it depends. I
yeah,
like being
exactly.
able to give direct answers every now and then.
Exactly. But yeah, your depends has kind of become a joke internally for Encore. Mike and his depends, even though he doesn't technically need depends at his young age. Maybe the future he actually really needs the product depends, but that's his favorite thing to say. Derek, what are your thoughts kind of on rounding out on these pieces of how to help people both start this process, get through it? I'd just kind of love to hear more on your overall, the approach that advisors should be taking to lean in here.
Yeah, anytime you can motivate clients or help clients
Mhm.
motivate themselves is gonna be super helpful. So the example you gave, I made a change in 90 seconds. think about how motivating that is. If I'm the client and me as Derek didn't realize you could just go make something in 90 seconds. And if I was that client and I was maybe, I don't want to waste Matt's time. I don't want to waste Mike's time. And then you said, oh, that's 90 seconds done. Here, go get these things signed. Oh, that's all it takes? Boom. Now this, what I thought was possible like this, and now this is possible. And now I'm going to start thinking that we call these planting seeds. So now I know, okay, if that's possible, what else is possible? And then I'm going to start to think about these things, the shower moments right before I'm going to sleep. Oh, I wonder if they can change that. Or what about this scenario? And now in a couple of months, depending on however long it takes those seeds to germinate, they're going to have questions about estate planning that you never even thought about. So showing them, show me, I'm from Missouri, right? The show me state. I have seen now how easy it is for this to happen. And because I know it's easy and because you encourage me to do it, I'm more likely to be open to doing it again, to re-looking at it again. And sometimes there's no change in this. So if you do this annually or every 3 years or however long you do it, it can be awesome to see, especially with some visuals. Look, is this still the case? Here's what we have for your estate plan. Is this still accurate? And yes, awesome. And it was reassuring for me to see that. So now I'm going away feeling confident. And I also remember that it's easy to change things if I have to. If somebody becomes addicted to substances and I need to change something, if somebody started dating the wrong person or marrying the wrong person, I can make these changes. It opens my mind to be able to think about these things in a way that most consumers aren't thinking about it.
Yeah. I love Marla's comment here, and I'm going to throw it back to you, Derek, on money quotient with this, but the Simon Sinek starting with why. The one person who does not procrastinate on their estate planning is somebody who just watched a loved one that died, or a friend or family member that had somebody pass away in intestate without an estate plan, and they watched what that person had to go through. Those are the people who are ready to get their estate plan done when they see the tangible effect of somebody dying without an estate plan and what the family members have to go through. And so that kind of speaks to this. Why is it important that Marla raised that? How do we help people begin to understand the really why this matters at depth and why it's so important? Speak to that, Derek, in context with what you guys do at Money Quotient when it's the training that you guys provide and how you teach advisors to really get to those core truths with the clients of why it matters.
Yeah, I think where Marla's getting at with the why thing is towards the end of the process that we help client or advisors implement. There's a way that we recommend offering advice, and every piece of advice is pinned to their heart. Every piece of advice is pinned to one or more of their values, and their values would be their why. So here I recommend you diversify that concentrated position because, and then you tie it to their family or their freedom or whatever their value is. And then you get to the estate planning. I recommend that you revisit this estate plan. Go have this trust sign document drafted or whatever it is, because family is important to you. Or you can even get specific, because you don't want to see your family fight. Because you're tying a because to every piece of advice. Mm-hmm. It's not just here's a list of to-do items split up between you're going to do these and I'm going to do these, and here's the dates and go get it done and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. It's here's what we're offering or recommending, here's why, and then here's who's responsible for it and the due date. But that why, we're pinning everything to that why. And to your point about people springing into action when they see, I've seen an example, somebody close to me. It's like the mirror comes up. There's no hiding anymore. When I see this happen to my brother and all of a sudden, shoot, I can't ignore this anymore because he's going to be going through some bad times, or his kids are going to be going through some bad times. So we have to talk about, this might be a little deep, but the stages of change where people progress through being ready and willing and confident to be able to make this change. You don't need to know the terms necessarily, but there's this pre-contemplation stage where I don't even know that there's any change to make. And then I get into contemplation where I know there's something to do, but I'm not quite ready to do it. And then preparing. So preparation is, yeah, this is where New Year's resolutions lie. I'm thinking about doing it. I kind of want to do it. And then action. These are our golden clients. Like, I want to do this and I want to do it now. They came in, they paid me money. I gave them advice and they told all their friends. Those are the perfect people. And then there's like a maintenance and a integration. But action is where people are ready to take action. And when you see this mirror held up, like here, this is Marley coming to visit Scrooge. This is what's happening. That catapults people into that action stage. And so when they're there, we can ride that motivational wave with them when they're feeling that motivation. Now's our time to knock through some things.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and so Money Quotient, your training's tremendous. Everything I've seen is so cool, and I think it gets to the heart of the value advisors provide and why Mike and I love partnering with advisors in bringing estate planning, to the world and solving for this gap that people aren't going online and they're not DIYing it in the software that they can just go to online, and they're not going to the attorney. Really, it's that what you just spoke to, that strength and skill set amongst advisors that can pull people into the gap. I'm going to have you share one more piece, but I wanted to throw this up as well, because one of the areas that's new within Encore that we're trying to help the advisors with procrastination is how do we sometimes it's the unknown that causes us not to take action, and maybe the fear of the unknown within this realm as well. And so we've thought about a way that advisors who are early to Encore haven't yet got comfortable with these conversations, taking clients through the questionnaire to have them download the decisions they want to make up their trust or their will. And so we're actually going to we're doing something unique that we're calling the Concierge Start Program. And what it is helping advisors by bringing their client to having somebody on our team that's worked with thousands of people on estate planning for us to drive the conversation with the client. And so people like Mike, who've been doing this for a career, if you're interested in this, what you can do is pick a couple of clients. You can tee us up. We give you the resources once you've done the training to reach out to the first couple of clients. But what you can do is have somebody on our team coordinate the call with them. And they're there as well to help you, the advisor, do a ride along for a couple of calls and getting a couple of clients done. So you can see that interaction with the client as we take them through the questionnaire with somebody who's been doing it for years. And so we're really excited about this. I think it'll help a lot of those who are procrastinating right now on getting started with Encore with those first couple of clients. There's a program that goes with it. We're going to ask you a poll question if you want to learn more about this. You can ping us. We'll give you the details on how it all works. You buy a couple of plans, and there's some extra concierge level. Victor just threw up the poll if you're interested in learning more about this. And we'll kind of go to these takeaways that kind of as we finish up the conversation is we'll also email out to everybody who registered here a link to the knowledge base article for all those life events as well. Look for that from our marketing team. And the Concierge Start Program, if you answer this poll, we'll make sure you get all the details you might be interested in there. Kind of as a takeaway, Derek, Money Quotient, what would be the next steps if people want to learn more about what you guys do, your training programs, how to engage with you? Share some last details there on the Money Quotient side.
Sure, yeah. So true wealth, that's what we call the point of financial planning, is to help clients define true wealth to them. And so we've got a true wealth process. So we train advisors in financial life planning. We call it financial planning done well, the psychology of financial planning, client communication, all those things. Human side of advice is a more popular term these days. And this true wealth process, we call it the 5 E's, but there's 5 different stages that you take clients through. So you learn about what kinds of conversations to have in each stage. We call them inquiry categories. Think about those as types of conversations to have: satisfaction, values, transitions, biography, goals, and vision. And you have these different conversations in the different stages in a way that goes from shallow and broad to deep. But that True Wealth process, we've got a fundamentals of True Wealth planning training. We run these a few times a year. The next one is in August here in Minneapolis. So if that's interesting to you, you can check that out. We've got a virtual one coming up in October. But all of our events are at moneyquotient.com/events if you want to learn more about who we are and what we do. And there's a lot more information about the True Wealth model there on that page as well. And if you ever want any questions, I'm an open book. So Derek@moneyquotient.com. Any questions I'm willing to answer. Follow me on LinkedIn. I do a lot of silly videos and pictures and things like that. So that's different ways you can engage with me.
Yeah, definitely follow Derek if you're not on LinkedIn. There's all kinds of good content. And we appreciate Money Quotient and the work you guys are doing because, we're aligned with that kind of approach. And I think it just makes estate planning easier when you've implemented a Money Quotient kind of model to the planning practice. So thank you for the work you do over there. And Mike, I'll throw it kind of your way to close us up with last thoughts as we finish up. Anything related to the concierge program? I know that's your baby a little bit, and so that you want to say as we finish up how to end the procrastination here.
Well, yeah, we're trying to take away everybody's procrastination here, including the advisor. I mean, the advisor being overwhelmed with offering a new line of service to their clients, that can absolutely be overwhelming. And so we're here to help you make that less overwhelming. I think that's the biggest thing. And ultimately, when it comes to these conversations, I mean, connect with your clients just like you always do, and try to just keep things simple. I think those are the two easiest things you can do: connect and be simple.
Simple's hard though. It's the way we all want to do it, but like we've laughed with you on your evolution, Mike, as on your estate planning. You loved the complex when you first came out of law school and practiced, and then it took you years to be able to take the complex and make it simple.
Yeah. In my 20s, I used to wear a suit and make everything more complicated than I needed to. In my 30s, I just started getting more and more gray hair. And now in my 40s, I wear polo shirts and shorts all the time. So it's I try to keep things simple. It's great.
Well, that's just your gray hair allows you, you have that when you were young, you had to look, the part. Now your gray hair shows your wisdom, and so you can wear shorts. That's awesome. We had one quick question here. Let's answer Colin, and we'll close it out there. Is there any benefit for clients to maintain their TOD designations instead of opening a trust checking and trust brokerage when it comes to funding a revocable trust, Mike? This one's for you.
Oh, it depends. And really the big difference is who's going to be in charge. If they do TOD designations and they become incapacitated, their financial power of attorney will be the person in control. Whereas if they put the account in the name of the trustee will be the person in control. Our default is that those people are the same. And that's one of the major reasons why we do have it be the same people, because you don't want two different people fulfilling those financial roles. And so there has to be a good reason to keep it different. So hopefully that helps, Colin. And then we got another question here: providing legal parameters to advertise Encore services part of our services. Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of we have sample ADV language in our knowledge base, and we also have a significant amount of stuff around unauthorized practice of law that we don't want to be practicing law, and we don't want you practicing law or coming anywhere close to those lines. So we're going to do everything we can to make sure that you know where those lines are and how to communicate those things to your client appropriately.
And I'll give a little bit of language into that too, is when you're advertising what you're doing as an estate with estate planning as an advisor, not an attorney, is you're there as a facilitator of the estate planning process. Encore is the document creator. The client is getting their documents through Encore. You're just there as a facilitator. You're not there to provide legal advice. You need that disclaimer on anywhere you advertise that. You're not providing legal advice. You are definitely not selling estate plans. Don't put that into your language when you're advertising. You are there to help facilitate the experience. Encore is the document creator, and you're just making it easy for the client. So messaging it within that realm as you tell the world about your estate planning offering is really important. So appreciate the time today, everybody. everybody. Thanks so much for all the great chatter in chat, and your feedback there. We'll send you some of those jokes and some other pieces as well. Super grateful for you all taking your time. Derek, thank you for joining us today and bringing all your great insights. We're grateful for you for that. And if you have any questions for Encore, want to learn more, reach out to our team, info@EncorEstate plans as well. And happy to jump on a call, do a demo, talk deeper on Encore if you'd like to learn more there. So we'll close it out. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.